It's time to strap in and get ready for the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Dan and Dirk are live in the studio today, ready to hear from you at 402-573-0590.
This is Carl Edwards, driver of the number 19 Aris Toyota, and you're listening to The Front Stretch.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Get to Joe's today, fast-paced, white-knuckle, indoor racing, where the only speed restriction, well, I guess I keep saying that, but I'm so used to it over the years. The new Honda eco-friendly engines will hold you back just a little bit, but it adds just a little more strategy. You got to know how to get around that track. With those Honda eco-friendly engines. Now, less emissions than ever. Get to Joe's Karting today in Council Bluffs next to AMC Theaters. Quaker Steak and Lube and Bass Pro Shop off in that little shopping district there on South 24th Street. So, great time over at Joe's. I have a lot of friends that always call me and say, hey, I need something to do today. What do? Go to Joe's. It's great racing. Go to Joe's. It's a lot of fun. And about an hour later, they're calling me back. Oh, I can't believe how much fun that was.
You mean both of your friends call you?
Yeah, both of them. They text me. They call me. They instant message me on Facebook. I've got them. We appreciate you joining us this morning. We are live down at Kansas Speedway as we are getting set for today's Hollywood Casino 400. By the way, tickets are still available for $99 or less. No more online, no more 866-460-RACE. Just head to the ticket window and pick up your tickets. It's a great track, one of those tracks that there's not a bad seat in the house. And you can pick your seats, or you could just buy seats. What I always typically did before I even got the front stretch was I just bought my seats and then went and sat wherever I wanted to. Usually there was a little bit of open space to be able to kind of move around, but today's going to be absolutely gorgeous. I think we've got a potential for a very, very interesting race on our hands today, and we should see a good crowd out of it.
Well, if anybody watched the ARCA race or the Xfinity race, there was a ton of racing. The Xfinity race actually had some real good racing at the front towards the end, but between like 3rd and 13th, there was action the whole race. You know, Matt Kenseth kind of had him covered, but until the end when Kyle Busch put it together like he always does for the last 25 laps and ran him down and went by him.
Yeah.
But that racing from 3rd to 13th was just fantastic all day long. Brendan Gaughan qualified 8th, had to go to the back due to an alternator change. Finished 10th, but got himself up into the top 10, so that was kind of a neat drive watching him come through the field.
And there was a lot of Cup guys that came down and raced in the Xfinity Series yesterday. A common sense thing. They love to come down and race in the Xfinity Series, and when there's so much on the line, when you're Kevin Harvick and Greg Biffle was in there. He's not in the chase, but he raced, obviously Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth. We just talked about them. They wanted to come down and get that little extra experience. The tough thing is that these Xfinity cars are a lot different than the Cup cars. So despite what happened yesterday in the Xfinity Series, it's tough to transfer that information over to today's Cup race.
Well, the one thing they will be able to transfer over is tires. So any information that they could gain, you know, how far the tires fall off and how fast. Like as Cale Conley was telling us, the tires on the guys' cars that are really handling well, in the Xfinity car, they could flat-foot it around the track for the first 10 to 12 laps on a tire run before they started having to back off going into the turns. The guys whose cars weren't handling quite so bad were getting 4 or 5 laps. You know, if they were handling bad, and then the tires started to fall off. So that kind of information they can carry over to a Cup car.
And Matt Kenseth and Kyle Busch both learned something, but I'm still apprehensive to tell anybody to take Kyle Busch in the Pick'ems contest. I can't remember if he won the Xfinity race May here earlier this year or if it was October last year. And now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure it was October last year, because I remember sitting here thinking, well, maybe this is it. Maybe he's got this track figured out. And then he went out there and put up another one of his bad performances. So despite everything that he's done this year with recovering after his injury, and despite him winning in the Xfinity race last night, and by the way, not only winning the Xfinity race, but winning against Matt Kenseth, who
it dominated all day.
Right. It brings it up another level, because, you know, I don't mean to speak ill of the Xfinity drivers, but it's a lower series. It's still a farm series, and you've got some talented drivers there, but they're not as talented as the Cup guys. So when Kevin Harvick comes down and races against Kyle Busch, and they're having that great battle, that brings it up a little bit as far as what Kyle was able to do and get that win yesterday. Kyle does end up getting the win yesterday, and I think I keep saying I think we're in for a very interesting scenario type of a race. I think the restarts today are going to be huge for these drivers because despite the racing we saw mid-pack and throughout the field, it still was a big advantage for the leader to get out in front.
Clean air.
They were able to start really checking out, which is one thing that fans absolutely are screaming at NASCAR about. Please fix that.
Well, they're trying.
I'm
They
telling
got
you,
the
man,
new rule change.
it's going to be exciting. We're going to talk about that rule change in turn number 3, so we will get to that. Don't worry about that. But so I get the feeling that the restarts are going to be huge. We're going to see 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide going across that start finish line. You know, obviously with the rules, you can't move your line out of your lane until you cross the start finish line. But we've seen in the last couple of years where drivers are going for everything they can possibly get on those restarts, and then it starts to shake out as the laps kind of start winding down. But today is a big race because today is the last chance for a lot of these guys to get their final win, to get into the chase, and not have to worry about next weekend at Talladega. It's very exciting for everybody that this is the second race in this round because next weekend's just a complete crapshoot. I mean, you could go from it's Talladega. You could go from leading the lap coming out of turn number 4 or leading the race in turn number 4 on the final lap to finishing 30th because you were involved in an accident. I kind of harken back to Tony Stewart a couple of years ago when he wrecked in front of the field and cost the field some $45-50 million in damages, and he finished way in the back and didn't get the win. So that's what they're all expecting next weekend. So a lot of attention is going into how to make sure they get the win this weekend at Kansas.
And the top 7 guys in the field are all chase cars in there. I think it was Ryan Blaney came in on the 8th spot in qualifying, and then it was back to chase drivers. So, I mean, you've got 2 guys with Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski on the front row that are definitely going to win, and this place will go absolutely bananas if Carl Edwards wins. This place will go nuts.
Carl's got a very good car. Talk about. Let's get to the Charlotte recap and first, so that we can kind of set the stage for today's race. As we set forward, and then we'll talk about practice and starting grid results. Tough day for Casey Kane. Last weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway, he was able to only finish 58 of the laps, finished 43rd. Matt Kenseth, a chase contender, finished right behind him. He had a rough day too, just getting involved in some accidents, not getting clear, making contact with Ryan Newman as they came out of turn number 4, smacking against the outside retaining wall. Or was that turn 2? I think it was.
No, it was 4.
I think it was 4.
It was 4.
And his car was damaged there, but not bad. But his day just kept getting worse. He kept making contact with the outside wall. He finished 42nd, garnering only 3 points after leading a lap. Jimmy Johnson finished way in the back, 39th. Paul Menard, 36th. Then that's kind of it. Then Earnhardt was 28th, Tony Stewart 26th, Kyle Busch was another one, he's 20th. So he finds himself outside of the chase. Earnhardt, Kenseth, and Busch all find themselves outside of the bubble right now as far as getting eliminated following next weekend at Talladega. So they need a win today. I think Earnhardt Nation is counting on Earnhardt winning next weekend, and Kyle Busch is kind of sitting there going, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, and I mean, Earnhardt didn't get a whole lot done here in qualifying, so he's got his work cut out for him if he's even thinking about getting to the front today.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road for him to go. And,
but he's had some good runs here, so it's not, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, this has been a track too. A lot's been made of how Kyle Busch struggles at this track, but a lot's being made of not a lot is being made of. Earnhardt struggles at this track too. There's just some people about this track that they cannot get their head wrapped around it, and that probably goes throughout the series. You've been to a lot more of these races than I have. That there's tracks that like Kevin Harvick that he absolutely dominates at Phoenix, but then there's other tracks that he just can't figure out how to drive it.
Oh, every driver has them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, there's tracks in Jeff Gordon's career that he hasn't won on.
So in risk of being eliminated right now, Matt Kenseth is 45 points out of the lead. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 32 points out of the lead. Kyle Busch is 23, and then Ryan Newman is 19. Brad Keselowski sits in 8th position, just 13 points out of the lead. Jeff Gordon, then Carl Edwards and Kurt Busch. None of these guys, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, and Joey Logano. Obviously, Logano is the one that is that is
Already
locked
moving
in.
on, yep.
So he's the only one that feels secure, but we go back to Talladega last year when Kyle Busch came into that elimination race feeling confident that he was going to be able to move on, and he misses the transfer spot, the transfer by one position. And at Talladega, that's a 10th on the track. So that was kind of a rough thing, and he ended up missing the transfer spot. But so it's a lot of nerves in the pits today. And quite frankly, there was some other things that I noticed. I heard a couple of drivers that were battling some cold issues. I know Brad Keselowski said that he was battling some cold issues. I think Carl Edwards was getting over one. There's drivers that are kind of battling with this cold that's been going around, and it gets around everywhere. So they've been battling with that. So that might be something else that kind of plays into factor today.
It could be. I mean, obviously health always does, but if it's just the sniffles and whatnot, these guys are, they'll take precautions and take enough fluid, because very few of these drivers will take any over-the-counter meds because of the drug tests that go on and some of the stuff that shows up out of these over-the-counter meds. So, but they try and take care of themselves, 24/7, 365.
You want to give some stuff away? We've had a heck of a weekend here. We've gotten some fun stuff, some things autographed. We've gotten autographs from Brad Keselowski and Kurt Busch. We tracked down the Outlaw, got a couple of autographed hero cards to add to the prize vault.
Got some lug nuts from the race yesterday.
I know there's some people that are up and about, kind of getting around, listening to the show this morning as they're getting ready to head into Kansas Speedway and get the action set for today. So
let's give away a Brad Keselowski hero card.
Okay. And the trivia question?
Who is the pole sitter for today's race in Kansas?
Who is the pole sitter for today's race? Give us a call, 402-573-0590. The first person to call in and let Craig know who is the pole sitter for today's race is going to win themselves an autographed Brad Keselowski hero card. We ended up getting 3, and then as I was sitting there as he was autographed, remembering that earlier in the year he sent me 7 to start the contest off. So we've got plenty of Brad Keselowski hero cards laying around. So let's give one of those away. And
during the race today, we probably should be able to acquire a Brad Keselowski lug nut or 2.
Yeah, and that's kind of a fun thing that you've been helping me out with. That we got you got Brendan Gaughan and David Starr. We've got some of those from the Xfinity race in August at Iowa Speedway, so we'll pick up a couple of more of those. Those lug nuts are just kind of, I don't know why. I like those.
It's a unique souvenir.
It really is. And,
that thing was going 200 miles an hour a few hours ago.
Well, I was going to say, can we get one that hits you?
Ooh, no, that's not in the plan.
Have you autographed that one, and then we'll take you to the hospital. That was one thing that we were talking to a couple of your tech buddies, and I didn't quite realize, and I don't think a lot of fans realize, we talked back in the day, last year before they implemented this pit road monitoring system with the 900 cameras and the sophisticated computer systems, you guys used to have to stand out there on pit road, and the official we were talking to said, you really do take your life into your hands, because those lug nuts, they wing them off and then they get stuck underneath the tires. Well, and when the car peels away,
it doesn't have to be under the tire. It might run it over.
Yeah.
And if you watch the cars, they spin the back tires as they come out of the pit stop, and you get that lug nut spinning off an 8,000 RPM tire. It's like a bullet coming out of a gun. Yeah, and they do hurt. I can tell you from experience. I've had them put me on my knees 2 different times. One hit me in the ankle. I used to play hockey. I thought it was like a hockey puck hitting me in the ankle. The other one hit me in the middle of the back. I thought I got shot. And no, you can't find the lug nut to autograph it because you got tears in your eyes.
That does it never occurred to me before until you guys were talking about that last night. I thought, man, that's a good point. And he said when they implemented that no officials on pit road policy, I was so happy. Yeah, you really do take that's kind of an interesting one. All right, let's talk about practice results from Kansas Speedway. By the way, if you can answer the trivia question, who is on the pole for today's Hollywood Casino 400, then you will win an autographed Brad Keselowski hero card. Brad Keselowski recorded the best times was the fastest in practice number 1. Austin Dillon, Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, and Brian Scott were all top 5. And then Brad Keselowski comes back in practice number 2 on top, the fastest, with Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, and Brian Scott. Again, Brian Scott, 5th fastest in practice number 2. Then your happy hour, your final practice. Jimmy Johnson was able to rattle off the fastest, but look who is in second. Bad Brad. Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, then Joey Logano, your top 5. So those are your practice results from this weekend so far for the
Brian
Hollywood
Scott.
Casino.
Brian Scott did have a good run in the Xfinity race. He was up front all day.
17th in final practice. Tough thing is that doesn't really say much. Taking practice results gives you a little bit of a picture of what's going on. I think Brad Keselowski being up there all 3 practices says a lot, but you never know what's going on with, we never mentioned Kevin Harvick, and maybe they were testing something. They've already got something since they were successful here a few years ago. Maybe they got, whatever it was. So maybe they were just trying something new for the time being. The colder temperatures, there's going to be wind today. There's going to be a lot of factors that are going to go in to really kind of mess them with these standings as far as practice results. We're going to see a different day today, too. One thing we saw in the weather forecast was gusts. I think it was gusts up to 40 miles an hour.
Well, that was for yesterday, and those gusts were there, but it was a crosswind on the straightaway. So they had a little headwind going through 1 and 2, and then a little tailwind on 3 and 4.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back in turn number 2, and we'll see if somebody can't win that autographed Brad Keselowski hero card. The question, who's on the pole for today's race? Who qualified at P1? 402-573-0590. 402-573-0590. Give Craig a call and let him know the answer, and we will come back in turn number 2. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 200 people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team meetings, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
Start your engines. Race fans, Joe's Indoor Karting invites you to the 8th Annual Racing with the Stars. Sunday, November 1st, starting at noon. Join your friends at Joe's and race against the top local dirt track drivers. Races are only $10 with proceeds going to the Holiday Horsepower Drive. Put the pedal to the metal and help provide holiday gifts to hospitalized children. Beat the best at the 8th Annual Racing with the Stars charity event at Joe's Indoor Karting, your place to race. Just north of Bass Pro next to the AMC Cinema in Council Bluffs and at joeskarting.com. We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Dan and Dirk are rolling into turn 2 with a little attitude on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 2, brought to you by Kosiski Auto Parts. Online at Kosiski.com, 402-731-4592 is the phone number to give them a call today. Get your car back on the road at an affordable price. Quality used parts backed by Team PRP. Get to Kosiski Auto Parts today. Which one should we play now? We've got a bunch of these returns. Robin Pemberton was a little confused as to what we asked him for, but I cleaned it up, and here we go.
Hi, this is Robin Pemberton, Vice President of NASCAR Competition, and you're listening to The Front Stretch.
I was going to see if we could do something like, because he's competition, maybe he DQ'd us or, something kind of fun, but he didn't quite understand what we were talking about.
Oh, no, we were way above his technical level there for about 5 minutes.
I don't mean to make fun of it, but, we've all been in that situation where you're in that mindset that thinking about one thing, and then somebody jumps in front of you and says, "Can you do this for me real quick?" And then you're like, "I don't know what you're talking about." All right, let's head over to the phone lines. I think we got Travis on the line. He wants to answer today's trivia question and win himself a Brad Keselowski hero card. Travis, how you doing this morning, bud?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. Who's your favorite driver?
Brad Keselowski.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
Then you probably know who's on the pole.
Absolutely. Bad Brad.
All right. Bad Brad is on the pole. Fastest in first and second practice, second and third practice, and he qualified on the pole. So congratulations, Travis.
Travis, have you met Brad before?
I have. A couple years ago.
I was going to say, yesterday when we talked to him, he told us to tell you hi.
I bet he did.
There were some expletives in there. I don't know what you did when you met him last time. But,
Step on his toe when you were getting an autograph? What'd you do? Poke him in the eye with a Sharpie? Something?
I gave him a couple Band-Aids after he cut his hand there.
Did you say you're headed down here today to watch the race?
Actually, I'm heading back from Minnesota. We went down to the Husker game yesterday, so I ain't going to be able to make it this year.
All right. Well, make sure you catch it on NBC today. I think coverage starts at 12:30. So,
Hey, Travis.
Absolutely.
This is my first year for having Husker season tickets, and I'm 56 years old, so I've been around a while.
a couple years.
And, it's kind of been a disappointing season until yesterday. But yesterday was the first game I watched, so I am no longer a Husker fan. I just want everybody to know that. That's obviously been the jinx, and I'm selling the rest of my football tickets.
All right. I might take you up on those.
All right, Travis, hang on the line. Craig's going to get some information from you, and then we'll get your card to you. Congratulations, bud.
Thanks.
So there you go. Travis wins himself an autographed hero card from Brad Keselowski for knowing that Brad Keselowski's on the pole for today's race. Let's talk, kind of shift gears just a little bit. The Cornhusker Classic was last weekend. Some amazing racing goes on for the final race at I-80 Speedway. It's always funny how it's always amazing after it happens, That's kind of talking it up a little bit, but holy cow, was it a great race. That A-modified feature. Ken Schrader, who just kind of came up for the weekend, he called Joe on Thursday and said, hey, you guys got that race going on. Can I come up and kind of hang out with you guys for the weekend? Joe said, yeah,
Absolutely.
please come on up. We love to have you. So he's kind of friends with the Kaziskis, and he's raced at I-80 a couple of times, and he started 21st. By the way, pretty much tail end of the A feature. So then there was B feature qualifiers that made it up, but Kenny started at the back of the field and made his way up to the third running spot. And, man, it was so great to kind of just watch him work his way through the field. He seemed like such a young, spry driver once again. It was really cool to watch that. And he gave a really spirited battle to Chris Abelson and Justin Zeitner and Jesse Sobbing and Shryock. And there were some great names out there, even, giving some guff to Jordan Grabowski, battling for the lead. And then, but Hunter Marriott absolutely had a terrific car in his number 62 car. From Brookfield, Missouri. He ends up going home with the win.
So is this the part where you play the Ken Schrader interview?
No, I didn't get anything from Ken. I'm sorry. I failed you guys. I apologize. I had a long weekend, and
you haven't had a good interview until you've talked to Ken Schrader.
Well,
that guy has got some stories that are just incredible.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on the show again so that you could help me with some of his NASCAR stories. But, we've had him on as a part of the Legends of the Dirt series. We had long conversations with him before the Silver Dollar Nationals, and we were down here, was it last year? I think we talked to him. We were at Lakeside for the weekend, so we arranged an interview with him. So he came down and did an interview, and he gave us a good 20 minutes, because that's what Ken does. He gives people good 20, 30-minute interviews, and you have a lot of fun. Abelson absolutely swept the weekend, though, for the B-Modifieds. Won just about everything you could possibly win. And so Chris Abelson gets the win. Mark Lighting has to finish second. Cody Olson third. Josh Most fourth. And Todd Boulware ends up fifth. Your stock cars, Mike Nichols comes, he was at a wedding on Friday and Saturday, so he wasn't able to come. And he decided to come out on a whim on Sunday night and just see what he could do. There was 20 cars in the field. He started the very last car. And he drives his way up, meticulously drives his way through the field, and gets the lead with, I think there was like 8 or 9 laps to go. Just absolutely dominates that race. It was really fun to watch that.
He is one of the best drivers nationally in that stock car class with
Absolutely.
IMCA. Ton of experience. I mean, you can go watch him every week at Harlan, and that's what he does at Harlan. He starts 12th and he wins.
Yeah, and there's, I think he won just about every race at Crawford County this year. And they've got a strong stock car class field in that area, that Harlan and Denison area, that in Albion and Buena Vista and those guys that race. They've got a very strong stock car field that he's able to just work his way through the field like that. It's really fun to watch, especially if you're a Nichols fan, because you see him start back in the pack and think, oh man. He's like, there's just not enough laps to get it done. And then there's a caution, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, here we go, bunch everything back up. Kyle Burke gets the win in the Grand Nationals. Tyler Andreessen second, Brian Kaziski third, Andrew Kaziski fourth, and Josh Leonard fifth. Very good run for Brian Kaziski. I talked to him after the races, and I was very impressed with his progress throughout the year. And my first season at I-80 Speedway, I was finally able to watch him.
Had a great driving coach.
Yeah, and he's doing an absolutely terrific job. Andrew's kind of starting to bounce back after kind of a slow couple of years, and now he's in the off season. And now I told him, I said at the races, I said, all right, race season's over with. Now you can start planning that wedding. And he goes, oh, geez. Let's see. Your final races, your hobby stocks: Kyle Bond, Jason Cole, Adam Armstrong, and John Watson all battled. Those top four, just a tremendous race between those four drivers in the hobby stock division. Even Kevin Bruck kind of got up there a little bit, but that's your top five finishers for the hobby stocks in the Cornhusker Classic. Fantastic race. There was 219 cars on Friday night, 238 on Saturday night. It was a stacked field, and I was really impressed with the field that came through and the quality of drivers that came in there and just had a fantastic time. So that was your Cornhusker Classic. Now, the weekend we've been down and we've had some kind of fun. So we bent the ear of Brendan Gaughan just a little bit. We said, hey, we've talked to you like 30 times on the show.
One of our favorite people.
You always give us great interviews, but one thing we've never had you do is do a lead-in for the show. And so he said, okay, well, I said, just as we come back from the commercial break, hey, this is driver name, car number, say some sponsors, team owners, that kind of stuff, and you're listening to the front stretch. And he goes, okay, no problem, here we go. So I said, can you record one for me? He says, yep, here we go. So here.
Hey, gang, this is Brendan Gaughan, driver number 62, South Point Chevy, for Richard Childress Racing in the Xfinity Series, and you're listening to Two All Right Guys.
Now he starts laughing there because he forgot the show. Now, I realize we're not that big of a
We're just
deal.
wearing shirts on that say the front stretch.
Right. And by the way, all weekend long, I gave you a little bit of grief. I think it was when Brad Keselowski was doing this, because you had your jacket on because it was a little chilly yesterday, and you would pull your shirt over so that you could see on the breast the show name, but it kind of looked like you were trying to show off your man boobs a little bit. So he might have been laughing about that too. But okay, let's try take number 2. Let's try to rewrap. Okay, so it's the Front Stretch radio show. So we
Sorry, what was the? I can't remember.
The Front Stretch.
Front Stretch. I was like, I did that, then I choked it. Hey, gang, this is Brendan Gaughan, driver number 62, South Point Chevy, in the Xfinity Series for Richard Childress Racing, and you're listening to two guys that I guess they're all right. Dan and Dave on the front stretch.
Dirk.
Did I say Dan and Dave?
Of all people, I don't know how he remembered my name.
I've only known the guy for 15 years. Talk to him on the phone quite regularly. So
yeah, and then he says, "Well, I think I was going back to the Olympics when we were trying to get when it was Dan and Dave. What was that, the 90s Olympics in Atlanta when that was the big story?" So yeah, we were kind of giving him a little bit of grief. You got my name right, but the guy you've known for the longest.
Dave. What was
I'll
the Olympics?
The Olympics guys, yeah.
I'll just change my name. It'll be easier.
So we'll try it again.
Take 3. Hey, gang, this is Brendan Gaughan, driver number 62, South Point Casino Chevrolet, in the Xfinity Series for Richard Childress Racing. And you're listening to two guys that I can't get their names right anyway. So let's just do Dan and Dirk on the front stretch.
I was going to try to get him to record what was like Rich and Sally or something like that, and just two obvious names. But anyways, so we were having a lot of fun. We got a lot of really good audio from several drivers, and we were having a little fun with Brendan. He was having a good time.
But I got turned down from Richard Petty when we asked him to do it. He put his arm around me to console me when he told me no. Mm-hmm. And then he just explained if I do it for this little radio station, and I was like, little radio station, we've got at least 3 listeners. We're not that little.
Right.
And he said, but then I'd have to do it for this station and this station. And I said, well, if they come ask you, it's okay with me. I got absolutely nowhere, but I did get a nice selfie for my Facebook page.
Oh, there we go. And that kind of took me off guard because it's something that's really simple to do. It takes a couple of minutes. It takes a lot of these guys 5, 6, 7 seconds.
7 seconds. Yeah.
No time at all for them to do it. But the King wouldn't do it, and I thought, and it reminded me of I have a very, and I apologize to say this, but I have a very low opinion of Donnie Schatz. He's a fantastic sprint car driver. But it's been my experience, and I want to stress that it has been my experience that the guy is an absolute jerk. I've asked him for interviews before. He has turned me down. And so one night I was walking through the pits at I-80 Speedway, and I think it was a World of Outlaws night. He finished a second to Daniel Lasowski that night. He's standing outside of his hauler. He's got his arms crossed, and you can tell he's frustrated from finishing second. I understand that. And so I walk up and I said, hey, Donnie, would you mind doing a liner for my radio show? So when we come back from commercial break, you say, hey, this is Donnie Schatz, driver of the yada, 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 Tony Sports, yada, yada, yada. And he goes, nope, I don't do liners. And he just turns and walks off. And I thought, well, you jerk. But then Richard Petty did it, and I kind of thought initially I thought the same thing. I thought, what a simple thing to do that you just can't take time. But he says, but then he took the time to explain it, and he says, guys, because he kind of pulled you in like a couple of buddies at the bar, and he says, I got to tell you, if I do it for you, then I do it for this, and I got to do it for this radio, and I don't want one station to have it when all of them can't have it. And so I completely understood that. And I sat there and thought, there's the difference between a guy who is a professional,
the king of his sport,
right, and a guy who's just a jerk. And I've had run-ins with Donnie Schatz before. I've had run-ins with rock stars that they're just having a bad night. And then you meet them a couple of years later, and they're the nicest people in the world. And most of these people they're incredibly nice people, but you understand, you got to understand, like for fans today going down to Kansas Speedway, if a driver just walks by you and doesn't turn to acknowledge you, it's not because they're a jerk. It's because
they're focused.
Yeah, and they're in the zone. And we were talking about sitting outside Brad Keselowski's hauler. So we ambushed Brad when he was coming back from practice. And we said, could you do some stuff for us? And he said, guys, I got to go sit down in this meeting. Can you come back in about 30, 40 minutes? So we came back. He comes out of the hauler, and there's hardly anybody around us. And he comes out of the hauler, and he says, I got to go over use the restroom. I'll be right back. Then we'll take care of you guys, okay? And I said, great. That'd be great. That's awesome. Thank you. So he goes over to the bathroom, gets swarmed as he's walking into the bathroom for autographs. And then he comes out, and,
Gets swarmed again.
Right. There's military personnel around, which you always stop and take care of those guys. And I'll never jump in front of those guys and say, my show's more important. Take care of these guys. They're, defending our freedoms. And then there's little kids. And so you want to make sure the little kids take care. So we're kind of sitting there, and he just gets absolutely swarmed. And you feel bad for the guy because he came out of the hauler just to use the restroom and to talk to us for a minute. And he's just absolutely swarmed. But he did the right thing. He was tired. I think he said he was getting over a cold, so you could tell he was kind of down a little bit, but he sat there and signed everything. He took pictures. He helped us out, and he got us those autograph things.
Every person that was there got their autograph and got their picture.
And we got this.
Hi, this is Brad Keselowski, 2012 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion, and you're listening to The Front Stretch.
And it was so funny because when he said, so what can I do for you? And I said, we just need you to do, a 7 or 10 second liner for us. And he goes, that's it? Like he was wanting, he thought maybe we were going to ask us for a full interview or something. Yeah. And if I would have known he'd had time, I'm sure, he would have done that for us. But he looked at me and he goes, I've been told I got a face for radio. And I looked back at him and I said, we get told that all the time. So
we talked about this last night as we were getting ready for the show. And as we were kind of sitting there, I do kind of feel bad for some of these drivers because, the upper echelon guys who have the giant fan bases, Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch and Brad Keselowski and Dale Jr., Carl Edwards, especially when it comes to Kansas, he's got a massive fan base. But you sit there and you think, these guys probably just want to kind of relax for a little bit and watch the races. But, they're getting hounded by media members, including us, to do interviews. And then, when they just need to walk to the media center to take care of their NASCAR obligations, they get hounded, and they got to feel bad that they don't get to sign every autograph, but there's not enough time to sign every autograph. It's just not possible. Hey, by the way, I remember this today, going on today at the Team Chevy display out in front of the Kansas Speedway. The Team Chevy display completely free to participate in, but there is a Kevin Harvick question and answer going on, and you can see Kevin, you can meet Kevin, you can ask him a couple of questions going on at the Team Chevy display. I believe Kevin's going to be there from 9:55 a.m. to 10:10. So that kind of shows you he's only there for about 15 minutes, but he's going to try to answer as many questions as possible. But that's how tight these guys' schedules are. I mean, they're down to the minute when they get to these tracks, and it's just absolutely hectic to try to get stuff scheduled with them.
Well, I mean, we found out before when we're trying to book some of these interviews, like when we had Marco Andretti, he called us up and he goes, you guys got 10 minutes. And we said, sounds like you got a busy day. He was doing 3 hours straight of interviews, 10 minutes at a time.
Sitting in a room.
He was going to do 18 interviews.
Yeah.
And that's just what these guys do. But they're PR people, pick out one day of the week, and that's what they do. What I've been doing, since I know some of these drivers, is, I'm trying to hook up with them after the season.
Yeah.
Hey, call me some Tuesday or Wednesday after the season, when you've got time. we just want 15 or 20 minutes of your time, to interview you about a season recap. And everybody's kind of liking that idea instead of having to do it during the season when they have all their drivers' appearances and all their other things that they have to satisfy sponsors and everything like that.
And we're lining up a lot of interviews for the off season. We're going to be doing the Legends of the Dirt series already. Lee's got that list ready to go. We've already got one with Danny Lasowski in the can that we're going to interview that we've done, and we had a great conversation with the Zeitner family that we're going to play in the off season. So the things for the off season are already laying into place, and I'm kind of thinking that after we've had such a good response from some of the drivers and PR people about talking in the off season that we're going to try to do something with turns 1 and 2 being recap of the NASCAR season and talking to probably the top 15 if we can get all those drivers to give us a call and talk about their season. So we're kind of lining a lot of stuff up, and that's been the major thing this weekend. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back in turn number 3. We will talk about the 2016 rules package. Did you hear there is a rules package out there that's coming out in 2016? So we'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll come back in turn number 3 here on the Front Stretch.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
If you love rings and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the Front Stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the Front Stretch.
Hey, I'm Joey Logano, driver number 22, Shell Penzo Ford, and you're listening to the Front Stretch.
Very a crowd favorite today, Joey Logano, in the Pick'ems contest. But by far, I think Matt Kenseth is leading in people picking. I don't have all of them put in quite yet. I was working on them before we went on the show. But Joey Logano, a very popular pick. Kevin Harvick also jumping in there for being one of the picks. And you still have time. Those of you who are listening out there, if you want to participate in the Quaker Steak and Lube 5-week contest, it's our final 5-week contest. You can enter for free. All you got to do is just send me an email, frontstretch590@gmail.com, and I'll get you registered for the contest. All you got to do is send me a pick every weekend for the next 5 weekends from Kansas to Phoenix.
And pick the same driver twice.
Right. And that's the only rules. Make sure your picks are in by green flag, and you can't pick the same driver twice. You do have to be 18 years or older, and you do have to be a legal U.S. resident, yada, yada, yada. But
whoever doesn't want $100 worth of ribs from Quaker Steak has a problem
with
their taste buds.
It could buy a lot of wings for $100. And by the way, if you're of age, it can buy quite a bit of beer. They have a fantastic special they run on the weekends where it's like it's around $30 for a bucket of wings, this massive bucket of wings, and a lube tube, which is 100 ounces of beer. So I go down with like Andrew and Kara, his fiance, and Joe,
order 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, and we order a bunch of them. We go and watch the races. And we have a good time, and so that's something that you could do with your $100 to Quaker Steak and Lube. So we give you the championship driver points that NASCAR awards each weekend, and then at the end of the series, at the end of Phoenix, when the checkered flag waves, we tally up all the points. Whoever's in the lead, they get the $100 gift card. Everybody else gets to hopefully maybe get a beer bot if the person who wins the gift card's feeling pretty lucky. So got a couple of Edwards picks already and a couple of Johnson picks, but still by far I think Matt Kenseth is the favorite for the weekend. You decided to go with Brad Keselowski though.
Well, that's because Travis is going to pick him.
Okay, that's the reason why you went with him. I think, let's see, from the season-long contest, Chad Brobb, Mr. Fantasy, is going to go with Matt Kenseth. So that'll be interesting to see. You're kind of whooping up on him, by the way. Did you notice that?
Stroking my ego. Since you don't pay me, I guess.
We take care of you in
what?
I don't know yet. We'll find out. All right, talk to me about this 2016 rules package. a lot of drivers seem really excited about it, and I think the one thing they hate about it is that they have to wait until 2016 for it to be implemented. They can't get this thing out on the track already.
Well, first of all, it's not going to be at all the tracks because they do still have the special tracks, Talladega and Daytona, and some of the short tracks that have certain rules packages. But this will be the package they ran at Kentucky and Darlington with the 3-inch spoiler and the shorter belly pan and the shorter splitter. So they're taking away a whole ton of downforce, which is going to let the cars skate around the track just a little more. And these younger drivers, Kyle Busch, who's got a ton of car control, Carl Edwards, Brad, these guys are going to really dominate on this. You're going to see some of the old guard that really counts on the downforce, like Jimmy Johnson. They're going to struggle a little bit, and Jimmy did struggle at both Darlington and Kentucky. Jeff Gordon is probably thanking his stars that he decided to go ahead and retire.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I see. I felt like this would be kind of a rules package that would favor the older guys.
No, it won't favor the older guys. Now, Jeff would probably be all right with it because he's a dirt driver and a ton of car experience on dirt, which this will be a lot more like driving on dirt with the sliding around and whatnot. But as you get older, your reflexes slow down. Yeah. And that's the key to, driving these cars when they're going to be, you hear the term snappy loose all the time. They will be snappy loose all the time. Yeah. There won't be any control in that.
So then this is going to favor the younger guys, the guys that are probably in the middle of their career to just getting into their career. You think this is going to favor someone like Kyle Larson, who is used to having a car kind of hung out there?
Yeah, this should be good for Kyle Larson. Remember when we spoke to Justin Allgaier down here in May, and he was talking about some of those rule changes that they were proposing, and he said he'd wish that he hadn't started in Cup Series for one more year, so he wouldn't have driven the old car and had to come into these changes. And he said he knew he'd have been a lot better off.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to the guys that got the dirt track experience are the guys that are going to dominate from this a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how somebody like Brett Moffitt, who's had really spotty success in the Cup Series this year, he's had some real good runs, and then he's had some runs that weren't so good. How much it's going to help him.
Other drivers you think it may help off the top of your head, your usual front runners, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, those guys didn't really come from dirt, but do you think they'll be able to adapt to the different barrel package?
Yeah, I do, because they came up and they were young enough when they come up into these series that their cars didn't handle quite so good, so they were driving a lot of loose race cars.
Okay.
And I mean, it's always been the acronym, or not the acronym, excuse me, but the saying that,
adage.
Yeah, that loose is fast. A tight race car is slow. So these guys want their cars on the loose edge. And like I said, Kyle Busch, sometimes I don't care for his attitude, but man, as a wheelman, you can't do a whole lot better. I've seen him save cars that should have been in the wall.
I still say, after it was Daytona a couple of years ago when he saved it on the apron.
He crashed and just forgot to finish it.
Right. He forgot to finish how to crash. But I think that he is the most talented driver in the field. Unfortunately, I think his attitude gets in the way of him winning sometimes and being successful. But I would love to see him win one, just so that we can all see how he changes after he finally wins one. Because I think that's a major drive to his attitude and maybe to his chip on his shoulder, is that he feels like he is one of the more talented drivers out there, but he's not really gotten as close as he's wanted to win that championship. He's been eliminated in this series. He was eliminated in this round last year. He has never won a chase race before when this system was implemented years and years ago. So it's a tough thing for him to take, because I think in the old system he feels like he could have won a couple of championships, but the new system is what it is. It's what we've got. Tony Stewart said it before. These are the rules package. This is the way we do things now. There's no need to talk about the way we used to do things.
Exactly.
So I think Kyle's attitude, it's his gruffness, his rowdiness that is what so many fans are attracted to. I think also kind of hinders him from winning those championships. So maybe this will be the change that he likes, that he's able to get behind. So. All right, that's the 2016 rules package, and By the way, tickets are still available for the race today for the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway. Just get them at the ticket gate and get here early. Everything seems to be kicking off at about 11 a.m. Do yourself a favor and get here early. Get yourself some race radios. Walk around. Go experience all the different things that are happening. I mean, heck, I just talked about the Kevin Harvick question and answer at the Team Chevy display at from 9:55 to 10:10. That's Central Time, by the way, for any of you out-of-towners that are listening to us from other time zones. But there is so much that goes on that when you get here, if you got here just an hour before race, you're really, really cutting yourself short of what you can experience. All the different manufacturers have all their big displays. There's concerts going on. There's the NBC pre-race show that you could sit and watch. And then once they send it to the infield for pre-race ceremonies, you can head to your seats. There's a lot that goes on at these tracks that if you just show up for the race, you're cutting yourself short. So make sure you do that. Again, tickets are still available at Kansas Speedway. Just get them at the ticket window. Now more than ever, $99 or less for your tickets. You can get them online. Get like right there at the start-finish line, right in the center. I think I was seeing them last week when I was searching for them at about $35 to $45. Not the best seats, because you do kind of miss some of that front stretch action, but you see the rest of the track, and that's the reason why it's a little bit cheaper. Get your tickets and just get here and experience it. It is an experience.
Walk the Midway. Take a look at some of the free offers they've got, and they do give away tons of free stuff, koozies, posters, all kinds of stuff for free. They line up the souvenir trailers by the driver, and they're bunched by teams, so you'll see the Hendricks drivers, four trailers together, etc.
Well, but NASCAR got rid of that. Remember, they got rid of that whole big hauler system, and now they've got this new system set up. And I was wanting to go out there today. I saw a post from one of the Pick'ems contestants, Sonia Worth. I believe it was Sonia that had gone out there and checked it out a little bit. And I'm trying to pull up her Facebook page so I can see some pictures of it if she happened to post it. But she posted about it that she thought that it was very convenient to be able to just walk into one area. She felt like there was more of a selection for all of the drivers rather than just a bunch of stuff for Earnhardt and a little bit of stuff from everybody else. She felt it was very even. So it was kind of, it was neat to see, but they got rid of that whole hauler system because it was so much money to ship all of those trailers all over the country.
Really?
And they've condensed it down into just one big area. So that's something new you could check out today for the race at the Hollywood Casino 400.
And all those people that, through the fantasy game, we had, 5 winners that got tickets down here this weekend. I hope everybody's down, and I hope you guys enjoyed the race yesterday. Like I said, if you watched the racing, I know Matt Kenseth checked out on everybody, but if you watched like Brendan Gaughan coming through the field and watched that racing in that, like from third place back to about 13th, there was a ton of racing there if you were watching that. And I really expect, again, it's a clean air driving track. Whoever gets the lead is going to check out for a little bit, and then as the tires wear off, you'll see some people come back at them. But watch in the mid-pack, you will see a ton of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun today, and you really can't substitute that feeling of being at the track and hearing those cars whiz by you on the green flag, the start of the race. That's something that I've talked about on this show. I think, like watching an NFL game. Next week, I'm coming back to Kansas City to watch the Chiefs get absolutely pounded by the Steelers. I'm kind of a Chiefs fan. I hate to say it, but whatever. But there's times when I'm sitting there at Arrowhead Stadium and I'm thinking, I wish I could hear the commentators. I wish I could understand what with the flow of the game right now, because I'm just watching it from up in the nosebleeds, and I'm having fun with all the other fans around me, but I'm kind of missing some of the experience. And I think the NFL has taken a little bit of it'll eventually take a little bit of a downturn in the in-stadium ticket sales, because you get a better experience sitting on your couch, watching it on high-definition TV with a good sound system, and then listening to the commentators break down what's going to be happening and what's going on. As opposed to NASCAR, you can tune in. I was listening to Brendan Gaughan's radio pretty much all race long yesterday, and listening to the strategy between the two, and listening to Brendan as he was talking about what driver was getting in his way, and he had a little bit of a tiff during a caution flag with one of the drivers, and that, a little bit of drama was kind of fun. You could tune into all of your favorite drivers through the race radios, and you could tune over to the MRN broadcast, which absolutely hands down the best broadcast of any sports you will ever get. I think, Joe Buck does a fantastic job with the baseball broadcasts, but MRN blows him out of the water because you can listen to that MRN and you feel like every lap is the last lap. It's the most exciting thing you're hearing. They've got great insight, great personalities that have been in the sport forever. You can get all of that stuff in your headphones so that you can keep up to date with what's going on with the race. And that is the best experience. Feeling that roar of the engines as they're going by you is irreplaceable. You cannot build a sound system that can duplicate that.
And if you have to sit on the couch and watch it on the tube, you probably got the best announcers with Rick Allen and his crew now that are doing it.
Yeah.
I've been watching races as long as they've been on TV. And Rick Allen is a local boy. He's, from Nebraska, which is kind of cool. And I got to work with him a lot when I used to work the Truck Series, and he announced it on the Truck Series. I'd talk to him on a weekly basis. And, we had him on the show a couple months back, and we had Dave Burns. We got to talk to Mr. Burns yesterday at the racetrack for a little bit.
Very nice guy. I was really actually very surprised at the time he gave us because, again, I kind of feel like we're just, we're out of Omaha. We just do this radio show. We've been doing it for, we're going on 5 years now. We're about to go on to 5 years next season, but it's, I was very surprised at the time that he took just to say hi to and to talk to us, and to kind of talk about. And I kind of, I've made my quims with Fox Sports well known on the show and through public, and I said something to him too, and he brushed it off very nicely and just said, well, everybody's got to take commercial breaks, and
everybody does what they do.
I was going to say,
put out the best product.
I said, but do you have to take commercial breaks when the lead is up for challenge? I mean, come on. But he kind of chuckled. But anyway, so very an amazing broadcast team, and the things I learned from the little news stories they put together on NBC, absolutely fantastic. And by the way, today's coverage for the Kansas Lottery 400 is on NBC, not NBCSN. So NBC is going to have that broadcast today, and also MRN. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back in turn number 3. Should we give away that last hero card?
No, but we better come back in turn number 4.
Oh, that's a good point.
We're not going to park on the track.
That's a good point. We already did turn number 3. And let's give away a hero card. Let's give away one more. We got an autographed hero card from Kurt Busch yesterday, so let's give that one away. This is going to be the easiest question in the world, and I apologize if you don't know the answer to it because then you feel kind of dumb, but what's Kurt Busch's car number?
His current car number. He's had a few.
Call in 402-573-0590. First person to call in and tell us what the car number is for Kurt Busch in his current
for the Outlaw
Stewart-Haas Racing Haas Automation car. What is his car number? 402-573-0590. We'll take a break. We'll come back in turn number 4.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, located just north of Bass Pro. Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 200 people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team meetings, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
Start your engines. Race fans, Joe's Indoor Karting invites you to the 8th Annual Racing with the Stars. Sunday, November 1st, starting at noon. Join your friends at Joe's and race against the top local dirt track drivers. Races are only $10 with proceeds going to the Holiday Horsepower Drive. Put the pedal to the metal and help provide holiday gifts to hospitalized children. Beat the best at the 8th Annual Racing with the Stars charity event at Joe's Indoor Karting, your place to race. Just north of Bass Pro next to the AMC Cinema in Council Bluffs and at joeskarting.com.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
Dan and Dirk are live for one last corner. Give them a call now at 402-573-0590.
Turn number 4 brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. Have all the action for today's racing for the Kansas Lottery 400. We'll have them on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube. I think the pre-race show for NBC starts at 12:30 Looks like they'll send the coverage down at 1 o'clock to start the racing, and then I saw it on jski.com a little bit ago. Looks like green flag set to wave just after 1:30, but that's an approximate time. So don't, if you're in the Pick'ems contest and you still need to send in your pick, don't wait. Make sure you get it in on time. And if you want to be a part of the season-long Pick'ems contest, you're going to have to wait till next year, but you can get involved in the 5-week contest for a $100 gift card to Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. We'll also be down at Quaker Steak and Lube on November 22nd for the Homestead Miami Speedway viewing party as we wrap up the Pick'ems contest. We're working on getting more autographed items from dirt drivers and from NASCAR drivers so that we have some fun contest stuff to give away. And right now we're giving away a Kurt Busch autographed hero card if a person can call up to 402-573-0590 and give us the correct answer. And looks like we're going to head over to Daniel, who might have the answer correct this time. Daniel, how you doing this morning? Daniel, can you hear us, bud?
Hello?
Hey, Daniel, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
We're doing good, man. You got an answer for us this morning?
Yeah, it's number 41.
Yes, it is. Congratulations, Daniel. Apparently you know Dirk a little bit?
Yeah, I do know Dirk pretty good.
How did you miss this the first time you called in? What's up with that? Did your dad guess for you?
No, I don't know Kurt Busch very well. That is not my fault, sir.
Well, you won yourself an autographed hero card from Kurt Busch. Don't hang up. Craig's going to get some information from you. We'll get your hero card to you this week, all right?
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah. Have a good day.
All right. So congratulations to Daniel. He got the answer. Yeah, he called up during the break and said, it's 42, right? No, it's not 42. So he had to hang up and call back, and luckily he was able to get back in, and he got himself an autographed hero card from Kurt Busch. So very cool. And I love Kurt Busch's hero card. He kind of had that stare off into the distance. No, I don't have
Kurt Busch just because he drives for Tony Stewart.
Do not. Maybe a little bit.
When Tony Stewart has 8 or 10 teams, you're going to really be confused.
You know what? Here's the marker. I haven't named a cat after Kurt, so.
Not to say it ain't gonna happen.
That's true. Well, I had to limit myself to 2 cats until I'm married, so I can't get any more than that. I'm a crazy cat guy. A couple of things coming up. We're about ready to wrap up the show. Make sure you get down to Kansas Speedway today. You could still leave and get here with plenty of time to check out all the action for the Kansas Lottery 400. Tickets are still available at the ticket window, so make sure you get those. The next 5-week contest for a $100 Quaker Steak and Lube gift card, you can email us frontstretch590@gmail.com, and you can get registered for free and participate in that contest. I'll send you all of the rules. The cutoff is by the time the green flag waves today for the Kansas Lottery 400.
Simple contest. It's free. You just got to pick 5 different drivers for 5 races, and you get the points that they earn for the race. Person at the end of those 5 races with the most points. We do have a tiebreaker system in effect in case, a couple people tie. It goes back to who's, first most wins, etc. But, it's not something we're allowed to win. I pick my drivers, just because I like to see what I can do against you guys. But, I don't get any prizes. I don't get any pay. But, hey, we have a good time. I'm getting to hang out at the races and see a lot of my friends. So for me, it's well worth it.
By the way, in the season-long Pick'ems contest, you would be second.
Yeah, see, I kind of feel like Kyle Busch now because I could possibly win a championship with the old way. But with the Chase way, I think I'd be like 3rd or 4th.
You didn't realize that. Oh, no, in the Chase. Yeah. Anyways, so all right, next week, don't forget, mark your calendars, the Homestead Viewing Party at Quaker Steak and Lube, November 22nd. We're going to be down there with the prize vault, handing out a lot of prizes and giving out season-long contest prizes. You don't have to be present in order to collect your prize if you're a part of the 5-week contest. It's just something kind of fun that we're doing. Or excuse me, if you're a part of the season-long contest.
And during the race, we'll be giving away prizes. We'll do some trivia during the race. And what's that email address again if they want to get in the contest?
Frontstretch590@gmail.com. All right, next weekend show, we will talk about round 2. We'll talk about the results from Kansas. We will preview Talladega. Plus, we'll be joined by Bill Wright, the PR director for the National Sprint League, to talk about the 2015 season. And the gas man, Jack Dover, will join us in the studio to talk about his season and his plans for 2016. We appreciate everything you guys do to support the Front Stretch. Be a part of the contest at frontstretch590@gmail.com. We will see you next weekend right here again on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Enjoy the race, everybody.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com.